This is Duke University.
Hello, I'm Dan Vermeer. I'm the director of the Center for Energy Development and the Global Environment at Duke University. I'm very pleased today to have with me Mitch Jackson, who is the Vice President of Sustainability at FedEx. And Mitch and I are going to have a conversation to discuss some of the great work that FedEx has done on sustainability and what they see the future as. So Mitch, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here. Thanks, Dan.
Good. So let's just begin by you giving me a little sense of what sustainability means at FedEx.
Well, if you think about what FedEx does each and every day, we deliver our customers goods, and in doing so, we connect the world. And so we provide that transportation of these high-value goods for our customers from markets that could be in the developing world to thriving markets in the developed world. So in that connecting the world aspect of what we do, we connect people and possibilities. So what sustainability is for us is to connect the world responsibly and resourcefully. It's as simple as that in concept. Execution is a little bit more involved, but the concept is fairly simple. It's tied to our business, it's tied to the mission of the business, and it's to connect the world responsibly and resourcefully.
So I know one of the things that is challenging in working in sustainability is there's a broad range of issues that could impact your business, both environmental and social, and finding a way to prioritize what are the issues that are most material to your business is really critical. I know you've gone through that process of defining a materiality assessment. Can you tell me what a materiality assessment is and what it does for you, and maybe some of the highlights of what you found in your own work on that front?
Well, it's an interesting process, and it's a formalized process, frankly. And I think a lot of companies in the past have done this through a less formal or more informal process in how they did it. And we had as well previously. But anyway, we undertook a materiality assessment process, a very regimented approach to looking at the material issues that we had, that we knew were important to the company. And we developed a list of those materiality issues, and then a list of stakeholders, both internal and external, across the gambit, shareholders, customers, team members, NGOs, and those type of stakeholders. And we went through this process of giving them that matrix and saying, what do you think is important for FedEx? And then we plotted that on the y-axis. Then we went to business partners in the company itself, departments that were involved in these different issues, and we asked them the same questions. What's the importance to the business of these materiality issues? And they gave us those issues as well. We plotted that on the x-axis. And what that gave us is this two-dimensional map of the importance that to both external stakeholders and to the business itself, to where we could look at this and make sure that we were focused on the right things. What were the issues of high importance to both constituencies? And if there were gaps in that, it allowed us the opportunity to then start working to address those gaps.
Right. So tell me about what some of those issues were that came out of this assessment. What are some of those issues that are high for stakeholders but also high for the business?
Well, clearly issues around ethics and corruption are high for both the company, importance to the business, and external stakeholders, as they should be. Issues around fuel usage for our vehicles and the emissions therein, that was important to both, high importance. Aircraft emissions and aircraft fuel usage, again, some of our larger environmental impacts.
Tell us a little bit about what you think are some of the most exciting innovations that are happening in the sustainability area and how that's affecting your business.
Well, we have a program called EarthSmart, and that's our sustainability branding program. And we have one component of that's called our EarthSmart Innovations. And EarthSmart Innovations are those assets or services that we provide to the customers or use for our customers in our operations. And we have a designation process that goes through that. So our work with hybrid electric vehicles, the development we did on that, the development and utilization of electric vehicles in the delivery, commercial vehicle space, our development of low weight or lower weight containers for our aircraft that contain the packages that we ship through the system. Those are all Earth-Smart innovations, and those are the assets that we use for moving our customers' goods. But there are also services that we have that also fit into this as well. And so we have our FedEx carbon neutral envelope shipping. So every FedEx envelope that goes through the FedEx system worldwide is carbon neutral through purchasing offsets, investing in projects that generate carbon offsets. And it's at no cost to the customer. We have a paperless processing service where customers for customs documentation, that's all electronic, it's not printed. And so they can load their own customs documentation up to our website, and that goes with the package, but it goes electronically as opposed to physically being on the package. So it cuts down on the amount of packaging that's being generated. And so those are service related, and there are more, but those are service related options that the customers have that are called Earth-Smart innovations. And I think that that's where a lot of the opportunity lies as it relates to sustainability, is in finding those value-added solutions for businesses that really help integrate sustainability and make it part of the business strategy, as opposed to a requirement or a compliance-driven approach.
So we've been talking about innovations in sustainability. I know in the electricity space, there's a lot of innovation going on around renewable energy, in demand management, and a whole suite of kind of new technologies, as well as changes in policies and business models that are really transforming that sector. On the transportation side, maybe less movement, still a heavy dependence on fossil fuels. Given the size and scale of your fleet, what do you see happening in terms of innovations that could drive the way we change mobility, change the way that you actually move your packages around the world?
Well, you're spot on with respect to this question, and the issue the concern that we've had for some time is that more than 90% of transportation in this country is relying upon oil. And you want diversification in the energy supply chain. What we saw going back to 2006 into 2007 is we needed to do something in the public policy sphere that would help create more innovation and more diversification of solutions in this space. And so we pushed for the first ever fuel efficiency and greenhouse gas regulations for all commercial vehicles in the U.S. Testified in front of Congress in early 2007. It was signed into law in late 2007. Regulations were published in 2010, and the first phase of those regulations went into effect in January of 2014. And so the idea for that was improve the fuel efficiency of all commercial vehicles in the space, in the U.S., but also have incentives in there for these new technologies that will allow us to move away from fossil fuels or diversify away from fossil fuels in some form or fashion. I mean, fossil fuels are going to be around for decades in transportation, but there are opportunities to bring other sources of energy into the supply. So we did that on the public policy sphere. Internally, we set a goal. We set a goal originally of 20% improvement in fuel efficiency across the fleet of vehicles that we own in FedEx Express. We own those vehicles. It was a goal set for a 2005 baseline, 2020 termination. A few years ago, we actually raised that to 30%. In our last citizenship report, we announced that we had reached 29.5%, so we were 0.5% away from the 30% goal 6 years early. So we're looking at that again, and focused on trying to get even more out of that. We've done that through a process we call the reduce, replace, and revolutionize strategy. And the idea for that is we've reduced the number of vehicles that we need by performing routing efficiencies, analysis on the routes that we have. So in other words, drive less miles and make more stops per mile when you do it. So that's the reduce aspect of that. The replace is to put the right vehicle into the right route. So if we're in a downtown area where the vehicles are not moving very far, they're not traveling very far, but we've got a lot of packages in there, we're going to use a walk-in cargo van that may not have the best fuel economy, but it's got a lot of cargo space. It's not going to be driving anyway. And we're going to use the smaller, more fuel efficient, but lower capacity vehicles on the routes that are in the suburbs, right? So using different vehicles, the right vehicle for the right application, the right route, and then the revolutionize. That's hedging our bets and finding the solutions of the future. It's about natural gas, it's about hybrid electric, it's about all electric, it's about fuel cells, and it's finding those solutions and helping to try to bring them into usage now, so that because we think that they're going to be viable technologies for the future.
That's great. Thanks, Mitch, very much. I think the leadership that you've shown in this area, a company that I think a lot of people track in terms of seeing kind of how your maturing sustainability strategy is really driving your business strategy in important ways. So it's great to have the opportunity to talk to you some more about this, and look forward to welcoming you back to Duke soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan.